Jeszcze się już przyzwyczaiłam.
Chcesz możesz sobie tu bliżej usiąść?
Hello, Anna.
Hello.
Thank you for agreeing to me today. And let's talk about yoga. You teach yoga and you practice yoga yourself as well.
Yeah.
How many years and why you do it?
So first of all, thank you for having me. And it's really nice to meet you and have this conversation. So my name is Anna Przybyło, and I have been practicing yoga for over 8 years and teaching since 2020. So it's 4.5 years since I started teaching yoga. So I'm a yoga teacher, but I also work with mind-body connection. So I'm a mind-body connection or somatic coach, and I also facilitate women's circles here in the sanctuary where we are now. And my work really focuses on the mind-body connection. So this is really central to what I do. And it's really about this felt sense of self. So connecting with what is happening within you and really being aware of yourself fully. So the reason why it's so important is so that we can really get to know ourselves better. So I work a lot with the body, and the body is really wise. So it's intelligent and it has a lot of information about who we are and also about our past and about our needs. So it's really a gateway to understanding ourselves, also to healing and understanding our emotions, thoughts, and thought processes, as well as beliefs. So it's all about this connection between the mind and the body. So that's to put
Sounds
it.
awesome.
Yeah.
I was actually looking for to start practicing yoga, and I didn't know where to go. And it was so funny that when you align with yourself, when you think positive, I met Sharon, and there was an interview with Sharon, and Sharon recommended Anna, and then I had this thought, I should go to practice yoga and see how it is. And then you messaged me, because it was a while ago we messaged, but you remembered that we should get back and we should meet, and then we should talk about that. And then I was like, oh wow, yeah, that's the great point to start yoga. And for me as a beautician, as a nail technician, it's also important to align with myself, to be in, let's say, calm state, that then I can properly provide my services. And is that what yoga does for us? Is that what something we should be looking for? It's obviously not for everybody, but do you think maybe it's something that beauticians also should do?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of yoga, so I feel like everybody can benefit from it. I think that, it's really worth trying. So I wouldn't say that you should or you shouldn't. It's really good just to explore and see for yourself. Depending on where you are in your life, I think sometimes yoga is the right thing. And then it's also about finding maybe the right style or the right teacher for you, so you feel connected and it's something that resonates with you. But just to what you were saying about this connection with yourself and how it can support you, definitely yoga can support this kind of inner balance. So it can really be helpful for us to feel more at ease, both physically and mentally and emotionally. Because just to go back to the roots of the word yoga. So in Sanskrit, the word yoga means to unite or to yoke. So it's basically about union. So that's how we translate the word yoga, is about the union of the mind and the body, or sometimes also we talk about the union between the individual consciousness and the universal consciousness. So it's like this higher self and this lower self. There's different ways of putting it, but essentially it's about uniting and connecting. So it's this sense of connection. So it's really...
Is it connection with yourself or connection with everything that surrounds you, or what is the connection about?
So it's actually both, because when we talk about the union of the mind and body, it's the connection between the different parts of ourselves. So sometimes we might feel like our life is only happening in our head because we spend a lot of time in our head. But actually, so it's only one part of ourselves, because there is our body, and our body has messages. So there is different parts of us, and we are actually one. It's all interconnected. That's why I talk about mind-body connection, because they're not separate, but we consider them separate sometimes. So the connection is within ourselves, but also with others and with the world around us. And I mean, I can talk about it for a long time, but there is different, I suppose there's different layers. So in yoga, we connect through the body, through the different practices. So we work with our breath, which we call pranayama. We also work with asana, so that's the physical postures, and meditation and visualizations, relaxation techniques. And we enter our inner world through the body, but actually after we enter the body, after we connect with the body, we have the opportunity to notice what's happening within. So we can notice our thoughts or our relationship to ourselves, our emotions. Sometimes in the yoga practice, what will come up as well is a certain belief that we are holding about ourselves. So this is really it's like a gateway to our inner world, where we can start understanding ourselves, and also considering that everything in this world is interconnected. So how we relate to ourselves is going to reflect how we relate to others in the world and how we perceive this world. So it is this connection with ourselves, but essentially it's also about the connection with others and the world.
Okay, so in simple words, like if we have, as beauticians, nail technicians, if we have problem with customers, then by practicing yoga, how we can solve that?
So it's back to this space for exploring what is actually present within you. So yoga is all about the present moment. So you have the opportunity to pause, because we are often in living a very fast-paced life, and in our head trying to solve our problems really cognitively. And sometimes we shut out or shut down certain things that are present in our body, and our body is holding certain emotions or certain beliefs that we have. So by practicing yoga and just dedicating some time to yourself for being aware of what's happening, you are offering yourself an opportunity to discover something new, and to see that maybe a certain problem that you have in your life, maybe it's actually stemming from a belief that you have, or maybe there is some unresolved emotion, or maybe there is sadness, anger. So our practice is really giving us that space to explore and to understand the root cause. So then we have the chance to take action. We can choose what action we're going to take. So it's really about understanding that we are responsible for our life. We are responsible for ourselves, and we need to start by being aware of ourselves.
So the fault is not that the customer is not nice, or the problem is not the customer. The problem is our understanding of the situation, and then how we should deal with that, and more to be calm. And then you mean we have to work on ourselves to be able to deal with that, what we think it's a problem, but maybe there isn't another way to look at it, and maybe the customer is not the problem, it's us, it's our thinking, it's our way of that we behave. It could be us.
Exactly. It's really about looking at yourself before you put blame on another person, because this is something that we a lot of us do because it's an easier way, and sometimes
it's the neighbor's fault, it's the government's fault, it's another country's fault.
And this is also not to say that, you know, someone who is, for example, like a very practical example, if someone comes to you and is rude and is like, you know, they are obviously not in the right, they're not doing something nice. It's not to say that, oh, that is okay, it's all my fault, because that's also not realistic. But it's more about what we can do about it, because we have a choice how we respond to the situation. And the person who is, you know, maybe rude or angry towards us, that is something for them to resolve. And we cannot try to change them or blame, because they have something else to resolve. But we can look at ourselves and see what this situation or this person is actually triggering in us, you know, because sometimes it's actually something very personal, and it's usually coming from maybe our early experiences, that someone is behaving in a way that reminds us of maybe our parent or someone else, and that triggers a response that, you know, maybe isn't that actually that useful for us in this moment. So it's really about paying attention in the moment before we react, because reaction and response are two different things. So we can react really quickly, and then without thinking, we just like reacting. And this is also our body telling us that we are in a defense mode. So this is where I think yoga can be very helpful, because it's a tool for observing yourself. And this is a starting point. So before you take any action, or, you know, towards someone that isn't doing what you want them to do, or you can just pause and you see, you know, okay, maybe they're suffering, or maybe they're coming here because something happened to them during that day and they actually are having a difficult day. What can I do, you know, you don't have to please them or anything, but what can you do to still be not human, you know?
Not to stay with you for the rest of the day. Like, you know, so if one customer is not nice, then you don't want to think about it for the entire day. You just want to find understanding and resolve the situation at the moment, and then let it go, and then let's go on with the day.
Yeah, and you know, sometimes I think it's like this can happen through just like creating that space to let the person be whatever, and then, you know, you can continue being yourself as you normally are, and then maybe through the conversation that you're having afterwards, you're going to understand why the person behaved in a certain way.
So it's a therapy. So yoga is like a therapy for us to understand everybody else and ourselves as well.
Yeah, and it's actually to that point is, you know, you cannot, it's very difficult. I mean, I think you cannot understand others unless you understand yourself. So actually, whenever you work with people, you should also have something that is for you to work on yourself, because usually, you know, when we are in contact with other people, some things will be triggered. So if you don't have anything like any practice, or even speaking of therapy, maybe it's therapy that you're looking for, or anything that is helping you to just nourish yourself, like maybe your body, understand what's happening within you. It's going to be much easier to deal with these day-to-day situations, because when we understand ourselves, the parts that maybe we don't like, because no one is perfect, let's be honest, yeah? So we all have these moments when we get angry, or we say something that isn't nice, but when we start exploring it, we understand that we actually like that's who we are as human beings, and we can develop more compassion towards ourselves and automatically towards others. Of course, sometimes it's difficult, but it's a process.
But that's what we practice on.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so I always think that yoga, it's like, you know, some sort of movement or difficult things to do. Is it what yoga is, like just some exercises and then I have to stay in like some certain position, or is it as you say, therapy with just some body movements? Which is it?
Well, so it's like when you go to a yoga class, there could be so many different ways of sharing the teaching of yoga and the practice of yoga. So I can maybe just speak to what I share in my yoga classes.
Perfect. Yeah.
But yoga, I mean, yoga as like is a big, like it's a philosophy. There is teachings about yoga that are actually outside of the mat. It's not just what we do on the mat.
Okay.
So we bring this to our daily lives, these teachings. But when we practice on the mat, this is something that we call hatha yoga, which is the physical aspect of yoga. So we have the traditional teachings, and this is something that I would share with people, which is the traditional yoga. So that is, so there are practices that focus on breathing. So in yoga, we say that breath is the connection or the bridge between the mind and the body. So it's very important that we are connected with the breath. So we do some breathing practices, and then we do some asanas, which is the poses. And so each pose has a different energy. So each pose allows us to explore something different. So yes, we do go into different poses, and we might stay in them for a little bit longer, or we might bring in some more fluid movement depending on the practice. But when we are in the pose, we actually explore what is happening within. So it's the pose. The pose is just a means to enter the experience.
So give me an example, like something like this now.
So for example, if we were to sit in a butterfly pose, so this is one of the poses.
Like this, yeah.
And you can just lengthen the spine. And when we sit in this pose, we really connect here with the hip region and the groin. So this is the shape. The perfect pose, let's call it perfect, would be that the knees are on the ground, but that's not so important. The way I would teach is not about the...
so we have to put it
there. Okay. But not everybody is able to do that. Yeah, and I mean, I cannot do that. And this is my approach in yoga, is not about the final pose, okay? It's about the experience you have in the pose. So regardless of where your knees are, your groin and your hips will feel it. So unless you are not, allowing your knees to, there is a bit of you want to go into the posture, but within your comfort and limit. And then, so once you find this pose and you want to just maybe find your comfortable position, so just check in if there's anything you want to change. And then after, we can, if you're comfortable, you can close your eyes to explore what is happening in your body. So here we notice the activation in the groin, in the hips. And you scan the physical body just to notice.
So I think about different parts of my body, and then how do they react, yes?
Yeah, you can stay with the part that feels active, but you can also be aware that, oh, maybe there's another part that feels relaxed because there's no effort. And the next step would be that you can start exploring your relationship to this posture, because when we stay here longer, you might get impatient. You might be like, why are we doing this? There could be like okay, why is she talking so much? So this is where yoga can become really about this embodiment, because this is something you will experience in your real life. So you are somewhere and you get impatient, for example, or you are like, oh, this is too hard, or this is boring, or so there is this inner voice. So this is when we give a little bit more time in the posture, you actually start noticing like, oh, there's so much more in there. This is just, there's activation in your body, but actually your mind is also, maybe it's calm, maybe it's not, maybe there's resistance. And in another posture, maybe it's more challenging and you start feeling like, oh, I cannot do this. And then
actually feel quite comfortable. I like that.
So this one is maybe it's
too easy.
This one. So there's different postures for different things. In some postures, you can explore your resilience, for example.
Oh, very good.
So resilience, also patience, or some people, for example. So let's say if we are doing a forward bend, which can be very difficult for people, but they want to reach straight away.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So this also is like, can you be kind with yourself where you are on your journey?
All right.
Yeah.
So it's not everything at one lesson.
It's a process of learning about yourself, and
little bit to reach the goal.
And on the contrary, there could be people who are actually not making enough effort. Okay, so some people are like, yeah, I want to reach, you know, and others will not even try. So this also gives them information about themselves.
Okay.
So it's actually
like
the yoga class can be very, it can give you a lot of information about who you are, just your relationship to what's happening even.
So all that information, it's like the teacher, you are explaining something, then we do the poses, and then it's a couple of people, and it's more like you understand the things for yourself. It's not like we share it, or how is it?
So I in a yoga class, because I do different things. I teach yoga, but I also do circles where we have the opportunity more for sharing.
Okay, so it doesn't have to be, but
it doesn't have to be. But sometimes I bring that in because there's power in sharing as well. But in a yoga class, I will invite this exploration, so it's happening within you, so not necessarily I need to know. It's just for you to discover. And then, for example, when we do hormone yoga, I also teach hormone yoga for women with hormonal imbalances. Then we have a sharing circle, and this is where I met Sharon as well. So then we would have a sharing circle at the start and at the end, and often what will happen is that, you know, after the end of the class, maybe there's a shift in how they feel physically, emotionally, mentally, and they like people might share
quite of experience.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I have to try now. That you convinced me that I have to try. So it's also not like I have to go to one place. I can try different places and then choose which I like the most.
I mean,
and
I think this is
amazing.
The best. Yeah, this place is beautiful. It is a sanctuary. It is an oasis in the midst of the city.
Yeah, Dublin city.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But yeah, try out different things, because, you know, like it depends as well where you are in your life. Like the way I teach would be more maybe actually exploring the pose, well, not just one pose, but being in the pose for a bit longer. That is called Hatha Yoga, but there is other practices where you are maybe flowing a little bit more, and it gives you a different energy. But for some people, it can be also a good starting point. So it's really depends on you, you know, your needs.
Thank you so much for explaining all of that.
Thank
Absolutely fantastic to listen to this. And we'll probably chat more about it, but highly recommended. Anna, in Sanctuary.
So yeah, I do some classes here in the Sanctuary, and then also sometimes in other places, and I have some online offerings as well.
Oh, excellent. I'll put all the links down below in the description.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.